Welcome back to Opinion Leaders, everyone, and still on our very sensitive topic of gay and lesbian rights. Jonas, let's talk about discrimination. We did touch on it a while ago in the first gap, and I guess we cannot deny that there is discrimination. Whatever level, I mean, even in school level, right? Grade school, high school, college, and like you mentioned, at work, there would be people who would be fired, laid off, or whatever because of their sexual orientation. Yes. What are the parameters of these of the discrimination in general?
We can start with what actually constitutes discrimination. And so when you say that you don't like or you don't accept homosexuality, that's not exactly discrimination yet. I mean, discrimination is when you act on your biases in such a way that you actually express preference already, or you deny the enjoyment of rights of others already. So it's the action. That's the difference between say discrimination and stigma. Stigma is when you think that someone is less human than the others, when you degrade the status of a particular individual because of certain arbitrary understandings.
It shouldn't be at all. It's just like saying, okay, I don't like you because you like Indian food, and I don't like Indian food, so therefore you are less.
So when you say I don't like Indian food, then that's stigma. But when you actually kill someone because he likes Indian food, that's hate crime already.
Exactly. So of course we're making it very simple, but it can be this vicious, right?
It can be. Discrimination actually creates the climate for other abuses. Hate crimes, physical abuses, rape, murder, etc. But discrimination is, I think, far more common than we understand. It happens when, say, students again get dismissed or gets additional penalty because of who they are, or when you get laid off, when you're denied promotion in the workplace, or in the case, for example, of Angladlad, when they were denied the right to participate in the elections a few years back
because of
what they were espousing, what they are espousing.
Yes. So So again, with all of this being said, and considering that we're still, the same culture that we've always been many years ago, do you think there would actually be a way in which we can even out everything?
Again, legal reforms is one track. The other track really is education, and I'd say that we are a very Catholic country, but culture is malleable. That's something that you can change. It's not, and that can be changed through education, through better understanding of who we are as a society, and better understanding of how we are wired as a society. Mass media plays an important role, and at the same time, I think lesbians and gays or LGBTs coming out also is an important strategy, because it makes people realize that LGBTs are part of our society. Someone who's gay can be, or lesbian can be your brother, your sister, your aunt.
So it's also basically also familiarizing yourself, and also there's a certain degree of integration also. Like, you will never understand. For example, I keep on giving these examples that are unrelated, but at the same time, you will never really know the joys of owning a pet if you've never had one. So at the end of the day, as a person, you have to be responsible enough, to know about everything, right? To know about everything. Not in the same degrees as depends on what you're interested in, but at least know that, create an awareness that this is happening, this is possible, and you can have friends, you can enjoy people's company, regardless of, and learn from them, whatever.
And that's an important step to, in a way, to break down the stereotypes and the wrong notions that we have about homosexuals. Like, for example, for many Filipino men, they assume that when you're gay, you're out to harass them, or
that is a stereotype.
sexually harass.
That's true.
So that's wrong, and that's an assumption that we have because we don't really understand each other. We don't understand homosexuality.
Yes, of course. And what about, Jonas? Let's go back into, let's say, let's go back into, let's say, basics, right? Into the roots of, let's say, as a person, many people realize they are homosexual at what age usually?
You really wouldn't know. I mean,
Okay.
it's,
Case to case.
it's like when you wake up and you realize you like women. In our case, it's the same thing. We wake up and realize that we're crushing on people of the same sex.
Okay. So basically it starts there. So let's say this starts at a very early age, wherein you also don't know what's happening to you. Because like, for example, when you're older, you can rationalize many things, you know, like, now I understand why my parents separated. But when you're younger, you're like grasping at straws, you know, and let's say a 5-year-old, 6-year-old kid cannot explain. So if your problem sets in here, and there's this issue of, let's say, bullying in preschool, or bullying in kindergarten, or even in first, second grade, how can a child who can't really express, you know, be able, because there's a certain degree of quote-unquote damage that can be done before this person can actually understand what's going on in his or her body. So how do we, how would you say, when we say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, paano natin makaharness yung feelings, yung emotions nung tao na yon before it does more damage?
Bullying can be profoundly alienating. It, again, as you've mentioned, it can be damaging. And I guess it's very important for children to have positive role models, to get positive messages about being diverse isn't being different isn't wrong, and I like the message that the campaign that they launched in the U.S. about things would actually get better, and so you shouldn't commit suicide or you shouldn't give up because of the pressure that you're encountering. And it does get better as you grow older, but it's very important for the society, for not just for parents or for teachers, but also for the political leadership.
That's true.
To make that affirmative message that, you know, it's not really wrong to be different. It's not wrong to be gay or lesbian.
So if it starts, like, let's say, if a bill like this is passed from the top, let's say here, and you go down to the lower levels, to schools, to in the workplace, and finally to the families, it sort of like triggers a domino effect that there is a widespread social acceptance and tolerance for anyone.
And it reverses that climate of stigma, that lack of understanding about homosexuality. And somehow it would make easier for all Filipinos, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity, to remove that baggage that we have. It's a macho thing, and we don't talk about sexuality, we don't talk about homosexuality, and sort of makes it more mainstream. It doesn't matter talking about it anymore. It breaks the taboo.
But I guess we can liken, let's say, sexual preference to things like difference in religion, because many people also, you know, also discriminate against one another because of a difference in religion. And so many new religions are being born now. It's incredible. And in America, I guess, it is the hub of discrimination when it comes to racial discrimination, because ever since the beginning of time, there was racial discrimination between whites and blacks and Asians and all other minority groups. So I guess this is just something that we have to, let's say, compound together, and I guess this is what's not working in our society and what's causing us from actually what's stopping us from growing, right? To be a more...
Yeah, it's a crucial step. I mean, all these policy reforms. But what's equally important is actually starting the conversation about LGBT issues, about being different, and how we should actually accept difference. Difference is okay. I mean, it's not alien. It's not unnatural. I mean, we are actually, if we're different, we are in a planet where everything is diverse. So we should accept that reality.
it's another angle of diversity. But you know what? I guess I would also like to add, I just thought of this while we were talking, Jonas. I think it's very important, and this is just also my advice to parents, and especially parents, because they're at the front line of their children. I guess in order for your kids to be happy and grow up properly, I think if your child has the courage to tell you that he or she is gay or lesbian, I think every parent should be accepting of this, right? You should not make your child feel like there's something wrong with him or her because of that. True. Because it starts with that. At the end of the day, who doesn't want to be normal, right? I mean, it's just the same as who wants to be born blind or who wants to be born deaf. We all want to conform. But if certain aspects, I mean, you just don't, then you just have to deal with it. And let's say if you can't take a straight path, then you just gotta make a detour. What's important is that you get to the destination you actually want to go to.
And there's such a thing as a straight path. I mean, but anyway, I think
there is actually a straight path. That's true.
What's also important is to understand that you first learn about acceptance, about compassion in your family, and it's really painful and it's jarring when you get rejected by your parents because of your sexual orientation or gender identity, for that matter. So parents should be the first to step back from the stigma that we all encounter because of our culture, because we've been taught to discriminate or not to accept homosexuals. So they should be more understanding.
And they should also realize that there is nothing wrong with this. For example, okay, it might come as a shock, I mean, or it's something that you don't really expect, right? But then that should be nothing more than a moment. It should be nothing more than a moment. Okay, or take overnight, sleep on it. But then I don't think it should really compromise. And I like that word that you use, compassion. At the end of the day, in order for us to have, to live harmoniously with each other, it should be because of compassion. I mean, even in politics, right? You have people who have different views. We have like maybe 10 candidates for presidency. But at the end of the day, if one wins, because we are Filipino people, we should just support. Same thing. It's healthier. It's healthier.
I think it's important. Well, it's natural not to understand at first, but parents or any individual for that matter should also realize that love is actually more enduring than all these biases and prejudices, artificial notions that we have about ourselves, about our sexuality.
Yes, like I always say, when it comes to love, I don't know if you're gonna agree with me, but it's just a little, just a little personal view. It's very easy to love somebody for what is good about them. Anybody can love you for what's good about you or what smells good. But if you start accepting a person for, let's say, yung pagkukulang nila, that's when you know that you love a person, because it takes a special person to accept that. And that's love in general. It's not even necessarily love for your kid, love for your parents, love for your spouse, whoever, right?
And then love is also the foundation of many faiths, of many religions that are being used to discriminate or to rationalize hatred. That shouldn't be the case. I mean, love, I think, is far more universal than these biases.
That's true. And what's different about us is really what makes us unique, And just the same, there are billions of people in the world, and you cannot have the same views. Otherwise, you might as well just be a unicellular organism.
Very boring.
Exactly. So, I mean, this is one way of looking at it. I mean, it's very, of course, it makes it seem very simple, but then at the end of the day, you have no choice but to make it simple, right?
Because it's simple. I mean, again, as I said earlier, it's something that you just realize. It's so natural that you just realize when you wake up that, you like or you have a crush on someone who's of the same sex.
And there's nothing more than that. There's nothing different about it, except it's just that you have a crush or you have feelings for somebody of the same sex.
It's nothing that you got from the air or from your food or from the toilet. It's there within you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jonas. And when we come back, we're going to get more intimate with our topic. So don't go away. We will be right back. Just stay right there.